If you're looking to visit the Disneyland Resort this July, stay tuned as we're going to update you on everything happening around the park. The crowds, the weather, the shows, and events. What will Disneyland be like this July? Stay tuned to be prepared. And what you're looking at right now through this frame is very much like what you should expect to find in July, including these blue skies and these crowds, and even the Pixar Fest decorations that are all over town square. We're well on our way into the summer season in July, although the park is just starting to catch up in a lot of ways with respect to crowds and weather and things of that nature. And on that topic, let's talk about that. Let's talk about expectation versus reality. That's a conversation that we had in our last update with regard to June and what we think June is going to be like versus what people think it's going to be like. I'll tell you, I predicted in that video that June would be less busy than you might think it should be. But after that video came out, Disney announced the new $50 discounted ticket for kids. You can get a kid's ticket for June, July, well actually all the way through summer for just $50. A 3-day ticket, $50 per day. And they had a discounted ticket for adults as well. I think it was $83. If they hadn't been offering that discounted ticket, I would have called July, again, less busy than you might expect. It used to be the case that the summer season was the busiest time of the year. Less so these days, especially in recent history. But if the $50 ticket is as successful as it was back in February or March, you could very well see a very busy Disneyland here. So my expectation is moderate to, I don't know, not heavy, but somewhere in that close to packed range. Now, one reason why I'm not calling it officially, all the way to bonkers busy or fully packed is because Disney is pricing their tickets with that expectation that it will be busy. There are no discounted days, really. There's nothing being priced in the tier 0 through 2. In fact, the majority of the calendar for July is priced in tier 4, the purple days. That's $169 per person per day. While the weekends, the orange and pink dates are being priced at $184 to $194 per person per day. So Disney is pricing this month as though they're expecting it to be a high demand, a very busy period, which actually works into the guest favor because those higher prices tend to dissuade guests from clogging up the park. It is typical that the busiest days at Disneyland are those days that have the $100, the tier 0 pricing. But all of that, of course, is with the caveat that there is a ticket sale going on. $50 per day, per person, for a child, $83 per adult per day. That's if you buy a 3-day ticket. So that whole pricing calendar goes out the window if you choose to opt into that 3-day ticket option. If you're trying to buy a single-day ticket, then yeah, things are going to get a little more pricey for you. So it's for that reason that I'm expecting the park to be, 70, 80% of capacity. It's going to be busy, but not all the way to bonkers, fully packed. The other bit of good news in terms of crowds is that a good percentage of Magic Keys will be blocked out for July. Obviously, Inspire Key, they have a wide open calendar. Believe Keys, though, are blocked out on Saturdays, and then the Enchant and Imagine Keys both are completely blocked out for the entire month of July. So there's less competition from Magic Key, significantly less in the month of July, thus allowing for more single and multi-day ticket holders to enjoy the park. Hi! In terms of reservations, right now things are wide open for both Magic Keys and single day and multi-day ticket holders. The calendar is wide open, even for Magic Keys, which is kind of a surprise. I would have expected at least some of those dates to be sold out. July 4th is starting to see some dates booked out for Inspire Key for Magic Keys, but otherwise it's pretty wide open. Now that tends to change though as we get closer to the month. So if you do want to plan ahead a little bit, because I do think that, at least for Magic Keys that is, there will be some competition in July. Single day and multi-day ticket holders, again, Disney is going out of their way these days to allocate as many tickets, many reservation slots as possible for those ticket sales at the expense of Magic Keys. Conversation for another video. But if there are specific days that Jack Sparrow. If there are specific days you absolutely must have, then do go ahead and book those today while you can. You can always reschedule those later if you need to. Let's talk next about the weather. What you're seeing in this frame right now is pretty much exactly what you should expect. The entire month of July is expected to be clear and sunny. Just a couple of overcast days per the calendar that we reviewed. Temperatures will be very consistent between 85 and 88 degrees for the high and between 64 and 66 degrees for the overnight lows. Now that's hot, the highs are, by Southern California standards, but warm by most other people's standards. Still very enjoyable, still a nice bit of weather to enjoy for the month of July. You actually don't see the temperatures still rising, still peaking through the summer season. They haven't quite gotten there yet in July. Here in Southern California, those peak temperatures arrive in August and early September. So July is still pretty enjoyable by most standards. It also will be pretty nice as far as humidity. It's still not too muggy. It's in the very low, 10% range for humidity, which means you're not going to get the super cool nights that you might if on more humid days like you do in August and September. As such, you don't have to be as prepared as you would be on a more humid day. When it's humid, it tends to get colder at night and colder in the mornings, and you have to pack multiple layers. In July, you're probably going to be safe with a very consistent scheme. That is, t-shirts and shorts or t-shirts and jeans, whatever your preference is. The only thing that I would say in terms of packing might be to bring an extra pair of socks or a towel or something like that to keep. I like to soak a towel and wrap it around my neck on the super hot days, and that tends to help. But having a change of socks is kind of nice and refreshing on a hot day. Now forgive me, but I'd like to take a quick break from this construction update to let you guys know about GetAwayToday. You may already know that they are our preferred vacation planner, travel agent for our fans who are looking to book a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World or more. Universal Studios Hollywood, Universal Orlando, SeaWorld, Legoland, you name it. And I'd like to think that we know them very well. We've met many of them personally, and we know how kind they are and how really tremendously good they are at their jobs. And that's why I'm confident in referring our fans to Getaway, because I am confident that you will be treated just as well as we have. If you're planning a trip to a Disney park or Universal or anything else of that nature, if you're planning a trip soon, use the link in our description so that they know that we sent you and so that we know that you were sent to them through one of our YouTube videos. And in so doing, you can be confident that you're going to be getting some of the best possible service from people who know everything there is to know about planning a trip to the Disney parks. Thank you for that. Let's get back to the show. The big story, obviously, in terms of what shows are happening in the month of July is the return of Fantasmic. It's back now, as a matter of fact. It's been going on since May 24th. We were there for opening day, had a great time on that show. It is performing. There's no end date on the schedule. It's indefinite. Two shows nightly, one at 9 p.m. and then another at 10:30 p.m. If the early response to the show is any indication of what you should expect in July, do be prepared to plan ahead. Do be prepared to camp early, unless you have a dining package, which I highly recommend. I'll get to that. There are people lining up out here on that opening night as early as 4:30 p.m. That's 5 hours, 4.5 hours ahead of showtime. There are a lot of key spots out here for viewing that are in high demand, and they get taken quite early. Don't expect to just roll up to the show at 8 o'clock and expect to find a seat or a place to stand anyway. Do plan ahead a little bit. At least scout the area out a couple hours before to see how things are looking. On that note, though, the dining package is something that I highly recommend. Those are available for River Belle, Blue Bayou, and Rancho del Zocalo. Those dining packages, you get a meal plus a reserved spot right out here in the prime viewing area on the Rivers of America. We did the Rancho del Zocalo package, and it was a great view, great shot. We didn't have to camp out. We queued up a little early just because we wanted to get a decent spot close to the rail. But otherwise, all the seats are good seats. You don't have to. You don't even have to queue up early for that event. If you have a dining package, you could show up at 8:15, 8:30 or whatever, and just get your spot and be happy and be content. All seats are good seats on those dining packages. There are some degrees of, some are slightly better than others. Obviously, you want to be center stage versus left or right center, but they're all good. As for the show itself, let me go ahead and repeat something, a sentiment that I expressed in that opening night video and that I still believe to be true today in spite of all the blowback that we got. The show is great. The show is still great. It is understood that it would be better if it had Murphy in it, if it had the dragon, and that some people preferred the pirate scene over the Peter Pan scene. Some, it's missing the TikTok croc. That wasn't there. There were some minor differences here and there. But to throw that out completely and disregard the entire show because of those things misses the beauty and the magic and wonder of Fantasmic. It's a spectacular show. 85% of Fantasmic is still a great show, better than anything you're gonna catch. I would put it up against any theme park experience, any show today, even without the dragon. It competes. It at least competes, okay? So you can't just discredit it or throw it out. Give it a shot. Watch Fantasmic. You won't be disappointed. It's a great show. It's a great energy, great vibe. We had a great time. So again, plan ahead a little bit though. And if you're looking to get a spot out here, because there's not a lot of seating. There's not a lot. So it is competitive. Otherwise, try for the dining package. As for fireworks, yes, there will be a nightly spectacular here with guests forming up quite early on most nights to see the fireworks show here in front of Sleeping Beauty Castle. As we'll still be in Pixar Fest, the fireworks that'll be happening are the Better Together fireworks show that'll run nightly at 9:30 p.m. Per the calendar, it looks like they are going to be running fireworks pyro every night in the month of July, which is typical of summer seasons. We're not sure yet because the calendar isn't going all the way into July. We can't really predict for sure, but the weekdays that I've seen so far in the month of July have all shown pyro, fireworks, every night, even on a Tuesday or a Wednesday here at Sleeping Beauty Castle. And then the wings out here on the sides of the hub, those will start to fill up, maybe 2 hours before the show, maybe even an hour and a half. It all depends on how busy the park is on that individual day. And then of course, in spite of that, these spots tend to fill up after the sides, the left and right sides of the hub, which is great for guests. And you can probably get a decent view. It's pretty much the same view all the way down Main Street. You don't have to be, you're not improved greatly by being here as opposed to back there. So you can get here, an hour before the show and still find a seat that is plenty decent. And then of course, if you don't want to make your way all the way down to Main Street, you're somewhere else in the park and you want to catch the fireworks, but not come all the way back here to do so, there is the viewing at Small World, which is quite good. That's a great B mode, as it were, and you get the music and the projections on Small World and the fireworks. It's actually quite nice. It's a great option for those guests who are seeing Fantasmic. You watch the Fantasmic show at 9 p.m. and then do not move because in literally just minutes, the fireworks start right there, and you get the music and the fireworks, just not the projections. So you get some of the projections on the mist screens, but it's not quite the same. It's the third best option. Main Street will also be hosting the Magic Happens Parade, still going strong here at the Disney Resort. 2 shows daily. The calendar right now is pretty steady at 3 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. each day. Though I would advise to check the calendar on the day of your visit just to make sure, because there are occasions where they have modified that schedule to accommodate some other thing going on in the park. Response is still good for Magic Happens. There's still quite a bit of demand for that here on the streets, but you don't have to plan as far ahead for this show as you do, let's say, for Fantasmic or the fireworks. Getting into what if your preferred spot an hour or an hour and a half ahead of time is usually more than enough time, even for a curb seat here on Main Street. But if you're okay with just standing at the back of the crowd, behind the ropes, you could roll up a good, 15, 30 minutes before the show and be in good shape. And that is for the most of the parade corridor, all the way down to, from Small World to Town Square. Also, across the way, through the Esplanade at DCA, while Pixar Fest is happening, there is another parade, a parade going off twice daily there as well. Better Together is showing at 4 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. It's staggered that way, so obviously you can catch both shows if you want. If you want to catch both parades, it is possible to do so. That parade also not nearly as competitive as one might expect for a parade. You can get a good viewing spot pretty much always. Though my preferred spot, in terms of getting there late, is probably on the on that parade corridor in front of Ariel's Undersea Adventure and Golden Zephyr, that area there. It's a little bit more competitive on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywoodland. And as for World of Color, they are still showing World of Color 1. That right now during the summer season is definitely 2 shows a night, one at 9 p.m. and one at 10:15 p.m. It's possible, I have done this before as well, to catch the 9:30 fireworks, then hustle over to World of Color and catch the second show. The second show is considerably less competitive than the first show, the 10:15 show is. So you can get there late and get a decent viewing area, even somewhere up on the water, even if you're lucky that day. So that's possible. But if you're looking for World of Color 1, 9 p.m. and 10:15 p.m. There are dining packages available for that as well, I should add. Although it's a dessert package, it's not a meal per se. It's not you're not getting fed. You're just getting dessert. I think it's $85, but you do get to sit. That's something that we keep bringing up in these dining package conversations. The one benefit of that dining package over any other is you get a high top table, you get served desserts, and you get to sit in a chair while the show is happening and all that time before, which is very nice, especially if you've been here all day and you're tired. So that's the bonus for the $85 dining package at World of Color. As for events, really the only thing that's happening in a major way at the Disneyland Resort is Pixar Fest. That's been ongoing since May. That's an event that goes in both parks, Disneyland and DCA. Better Together Parade, Together Forever fireworks, lots of food. There's the experience at Fantasyland, which is a lot of fun. It's an all-day event, and it's doing pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. We had a lot of fun when we took the tour back in May, and it's, like I said, it's going to be ongoing through July and into August. Other than that, all you have left in July is 4th of July, which is just a one-day event. They don't do a protracted or prolonged experience for that. It's just the one-day thing in the park on 4th of July. They do a special fireworks show, and that will be at 9:30 as well. There's going to be, a limited amount of food and, a limited amount of merch, plus the flag retreat ceremony. But the one thing that I would mention with respect to being here on 4th of July is that it's actually a very pleasant day to be here. Light crowds. For example, this is our view from the Mark Twain last 4th of July. This is our view right now. Now, mind you, that doesn't last the entire day. The crowds start to come in about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon because it's mostly an evening event, 4th of July is. But if you're looking for a pleasant day to visit without too much crowds, and you don't mind leaving the park at 5 or 6 o'clock, 4th of July is a pretty good option. Let's talk next about ride closures, which is probably a good news story as far as this video goes. We're all well aware of the Haunted Mansion behind me and Splash Mountain, Tiana's Bayou Adventure down the way, Critter Country as well. Those have been closed for a while and will remain closed through July for sure. Most likely September is what I'm guessing for Tiana's and Critter Country, and I think they're going to stay closed and reopen all at the same time. It is my belief that they're going to, even if they're done with whatever they're doing to Critter Country, aside from Tiana's, they're going to leave that closed and open everything up at once. And then as for Haunted Mansion, it's hard to tell because it feels like we're still sort of in that, well, we haven't really achieved any significant progress towards building. Progress is being made. Whether or not we make it to August 23rd, which is the first day of the Halloween season, remains in doubt still, but I do think that is the hope and the expectation. But as for July, definitely you won't see anything, I don't think Haunted Mansion-wise in July, of course. But that's where the bad news ends. The rest of the good news is that that's it. The entire park is in good shape otherwise. Literally every other attraction is up and running and having gone through a refurb already or been updated. Same thing at California Adventure. There is, as far as I can recall, nothing. There's nothing on the calendar for July, all of July. Now that doesn't mean something can happen between now and then, and there could be some unannounced closures that were scheduled but they haven't announced yet. But as of now, the park is in really, really good shape, which is great. Again, notwithstanding Haunted Mansion or Splash Mountain or Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but that's been the case for months now. So it's almost part of the landscape, part of the natural environment here at Disneyland. Postscript to those closures expected in July. since recording the initial part of that, we have since learned that they are going to be closing Hungry Bear, Davy Crockett Canoes, and the whole path connecting Critter Country to Galaxy's Edge. All of that is going to be closed starting July 8th and probably indefinitely through the month. The expectation is everything from here all the way to the entrance to Galaxy's Edge will be cut off from guests. There will be a dead end at Galaxy's Edge and a dead end right here. Be sure to stay tuned, obviously, to Fresh Baked for weekly updates, construction updates. We put those out every Monday. So if you want to get caught up on what's happening as you approach July, watch Fresh Baked. And that is what's happening at the Disneyland Resort in the month of July. Stay tuned. Next month, we'll be getting ready for August. I cannot believe we're here already. We're getting you ready for August, which means we're getting you ready for the beginning of the Halloween season. Just like that. And for D23, that's coming up in August as well. We'll see what impact that might have on crowds here or how that might impact your ability to do both things. Let's say you're coming down for D23. As for this video, we do hope it came in handy and helps you plan for your visit coming up in July. Thank you guys very much for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. And if you like this show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. Thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh Baked.